set the record, and we're starting now. All right, so you want both equations in standard form. Standard form just means that you have x, and I'm going to write a because it could be any number, right? And then plus b could be some other number with y, and it equals a c. So you always have like x and y on one side. This y or x could be negative or positive, as you can see here. And then you have your numbers on the other side. Or we also call that the constant. Okay, now what we want to do with elimination is once we have it lined up in standard form, where we have x over x and y over y or number over number, is that we're going to use this idea that opposites eliminate each other. Or like when you're solving an equation, if it's negative 3x, you would add 3x, right, to cancel it out. We're going to do the same thing here. So here, in this case, we need opposites in order to cancel. And these two, those two x terms are opposite. So we need opposites. They'll be the same number, but they'll be different signs. So these are the same number. They're both 3, but they're opposite signs. One's negative, one is positive. And as with any other equation, when you have opposite signs, they cancel. Okay? Draw an arrow there pointing to that. So now, once we cancel one of the variables, and you might be canceling y or you might be canceling x, then you add up the equations. So add the equations. So that means whatever's left, negative 2y and negative 5y, we're going to add those. So that would equal negative 7y. And then 36 plus 6, 42. And now it's just a simple one term on each side equation where we would divide by negative 7. And remember, you always divide the same sign. So y, that becomes 1. And now it's y equals negative 6. But remember, we need to solve for both x and y. So now we need to go find x. So just like before, pick one equation. Doesn't matter which one you choose, which one you feel like is you're most comfortable with. I'm going to do the second one. And you plug in that number you just found. So remember, you found y, so make sure you plug this into your y of that equation. Don't plug it into the x. So now 3x minus 5. And now basically I plug that in, and every time I plug something in, I always like to write parentheses, just to remind myself that I'm multiplying that, is equal to 6. And now I simplify and solve for x. So now 3x negative 5 times negative 6. If you guys are making mistakes, it's a good chance it's because of your negatives, so be careful with that. For instance, here, dividing by positive by negative is going to be a negative, which, in case you guys can't see that, is equal to 6. Hey, Samir, can you wait outside? And then here, I take away 30. On both sides, and I get 3x equals 6 minus 30. Well, again, if I have different signs, one is positive, one is the other's negative, then I just subtract. So 30 minus 6 is 24. The bigger number is negative, so it'll be negative. And my last step is divide by 3. So then x equals -8. Now, don't leave it like that, especially if you're doing the worksheet. Now, if you're doing delta on like a delta math or something, you have to answer it correctly, or else it's not going to let you move forward. But if you're doing a worksheet, don't just leave it like that. You need to make sure that you write your x and your y. And pay attention to, just because this was the first one you found, isn't the first number that goes there. You're going to put x as the first number, y is the second. So -8 and -6. Because sometimes when you're doing delta math or something, you're going to plug that in and be like, wait, I was for sure I got it right. And then you're like, oh, shoot, I switched them, right? Now, I will come back to this, but just remember that you can, my yellow, oh, there we go. That's okay. You can use Desmos to check your answers. So I'll come back to these notes in case you didn't get them. Don't worry, don't freak out. So let's say I want to check my answer. I'm just going to go to open up a new tab, go to Desmos. I want the graphing calculator. All I got to do is type in these equations on separate lines. So there's the first equation. You notice it's kind of over here. And then here's the second equation, 3x minus 5y equals 6. So I just type them out and boom, there's my answer. Okay, that way I can confirm and know if I got it right or not. So especially if you're working on Excel or Delta Math, those ones where you got to get it right, well, there you go. But also you got to make sure you show all the work, obviously, on your in your notes. So you got to have both. All right. Okay. Any questions on that one? Here, let me actually pause. Let me